Josh Hamilton had it all: talent, money, and a future so bright it seemed inevitable that he'd become one of baseball's greatest stars. At just 18 years old, he was the first overall pick in the MLB Draft, a generational talent destined for superstardom. But instead of taking over the league, he disappeared. Injuries, addiction, and self-destruction took everything from him. His career was over before it even started. But then, in one of the most improbable comebacks in sports history, Hamilton fought his way back to the majors. And just a few years later, this once broken athlete, who nearly lost everything, was standing on the biggest stage in baseball, playing in the World Series. This is the story of how a 26-year-old drug-addicted player won the World Series. Before addiction, before the lost years, Josh Hamilton was baseball's golden boy.
He was your basic high school bonus baby, high pick, can't miss prospect, and all of a sudden, as the pressure rises, he's supposed to rise quickly up the minor league ladder.
Born on May 21st, 1981 in Raleigh, North Carolina, Hamilton grew up in a tight-knit, hardworking family. His parents, Tony and Linda Hamilton, were deeply involved in his baseball journey, attending every game, coaching him, and ensuring he had every opportunity to succeed.
I love baseball. I've been playing baseball since I was 3.
From a young age, it was clear that Hamilton wasn't just another talented kid. He was different. He had the kind of natural ability that made everything look effortless. Whether he was crushing home runs, throwing laser beams from the outfield, or stealing bases with ease, he dominated every level of competition. By the time he reached Athens Drive High School, he was already considered one of the best baseball prospects in the country. But Hamilton wasn't just a baseball player, he was an all-around athlete. He could have excelled in almost any sport, but baseball was his true passion. His combination of size, speed, and raw power was something scouts rarely saw.
He has extraordinary ability, just extraordinary size, power, arm, speed. He had the whole big 5-tool package.
At 6'4" and 200 pounds, he had the perfect build for a future MLB superstar. His left-handed swing was smooth yet violent, generating insane bat speed that made the ball explode off his bat. Defensively, he was just as impressive. Whether he was playing outfield or pitching, his arm strength was unmatched.
It's a thrill for me. I've worked hard, all my life, and had fun playing this game, and it's just a dream come true.
By the time the 1999 MLB Draft rolled around, Hamilton was the undisputed top prospect. Every team in the league wanted him, but the Tampa Bay Devil Rays had the first pick, and they weren't about to pass on a player who looked like a generational talent. They selected Hamilton first overall, handed him a massive $3.96 million signing bonus, and immediately labeled him the future of their franchise. And for a while, he lived up to the hype. In his first 2 seasons in the minor leagues, Hamilton put on a show. He batted .301 with 13 home runs and 61 RBIs in his first professional season, then followed that up with an even better performance in 2000, showcasing elite power and plate discipline. His ability to hit for average, drive the ball to all fields, and make spectacular defensive plays made him one of the most exciting prospects in baseball. It wasn't a matter if he'd make the big leagues, it was just a matter of when. But then everything changed. In 2001, Hamilton was involved in a car accident that left him with a back injury. It seemed minor at first, just a setback. But it was more than that. The injury sidelined him, and while he was recovering, he started experimenting with drugs and alcohol.
I had my first drink of alcohol and did my first line of cocaine the same night. I can't say why I did it other than just curious.
What started as casual drinking and painkillers quickly spiraled into full-blown addiction. At the same time, his family, his rock, was falling apart. His parents, who had always supported his baseball journey, were dealing with their own struggles. With baseball slipping away and no real support system around him, Hamilton dove headfirst into a world of self-destruction. By 2002, his once promising career was in freefall. He was missing games, showing up late, and battling demons that baseball couldn't fix.
And he's just one sip away from going completely over the deep end. And apparently that happened here of late. And when he's gone off the deep end, he's really gone off the deep end.
And then, in 2003, MLB suspended him for violating the league's drug policy. It wasn't just a slap on the wrist, it was a full season ban. Josh Hamilton, the can't-miss prospect, had officially disappeared. For the next 3 years, Hamilton wasn't just out of baseball, he was lost. He bounced between rehab centers and the streets, his life revolving around drugs instead of home runs. He pawned his World Series ring from the Team USA for drug money. He went on week-long benders, waking up in places he didn't recognize. He wasn't an athlete anymore. He was just another addict trying to survive. By 2005, he was out of baseball entirely. The Devil Rays had given up on him. His once endless potential had turned into a cautionary tale. It seemed like the story of Josh Hamilton was over. But then, something changed. By 2005, Hamilton hit rock bottom. He wasn't just struggling with addiction, he was drowning in it. He had burned through multiple rehab stints, alienated friends and family, and watched his once promising career fade into nothing.
I don't even know how he was surviving because he was a skeleton, he didn't even look like the same person. And just mentally, I felt like he didn't have any grasp on reality.
His days blurred together in a cycle of drugs, alcohol, and regret. Baseball felt like a distant memory. And then one night, after years of self-destruction, he found himself standing at his grandmother's doorstep. He was out of money, out of chances, and out of excuses. She took him in, but not with open arms. Instead, she gave him a choice: get clean or get out. No more coddling, no more second chances. It was rehab or nothing.
She knowing that I was using and saying to me that she knew what I was doing, and she started crying and said she couldn't take it anymore, seeing me like that.
This time, it stuck. Hamilton went all in. He got clean. He rediscovered his faith, leaned on the few family members still willing to support him, and slowly started putting the pieces of his life back together. But even as he turned his personal life around, baseball seemed like a long shot. He hadn't played professionally in years. Who would take a chance on him now? Then, in 2006, baseball came along. MLB reinstated him, offering a path back if he could prove he was serious. The Tampa Bay organization had moved on, but in 2007, the Cincinnati Reds saw something others didn't. They selected him in the Rule 5 draft, giving him one last shot at redemption. And when he finally stepped back onto a major league field, it was like he had never left. The bat speed, the power, the instincts, it was all still there. He wasn't just good, he was electric.
Josh Hamilton! Another one! This one is toward the moon!
After a solid rookie season with the Reds, Hamilton was traded to the Texas Rangers in 2008, and in Texas he became a superstar. He smashed 32 home runs in his first season, drove in 130 RBIs, and earned his first All-Star selection. But it was the 2008 Home Run Derby that truly announced his return. In Yankee Stadium, under the bright lights, he put on one of the greatest shows in Derby history, launching 28 home runs in the first round alone. The crowd gave him a standing ovation. Even his fellow players couldn't believe what they were seeing. Josh Hamilton wasn't just back, he was better than ever. Over the next few years, he established himself as one of the best players in baseball. He won the AL MVP in 2010, hitting .359 with 32 home runs and leading the Rangers to their first ever World Series appearance. By 2011, Hamilton had already rewritten his story. He was no longer just a cautionary tale. He was an MVP, a 5-time All-Star, and the heart of a Texas Rangers team chasing its first ever championship. But there was one chapter left to write: the World Series. The Rangers had come so close the year before, losing to the San Francisco Giants in 2010. But in 2011, they were back, this time facing the St. Louis Cardinals, and in Game 6, one of the most unforgettable games in the World Series history, Hamilton had his chance to cement his legacy. The game was a back-and-forth thriller, the kind of battle that turns players into legends. Twice, Texas was one strike away from winning it all. Twice, St. Louis clawed back. Then, in the top of the 10th inning, with the game tied and tension at its peak, Hamilton stepped to the plate. And he did what he always did in big moments. Crack! A 2-run home run. The ball soared through the cold October air, disappearing into the St. Louis night. Rangers fans erupted. This was it. The moment that should have sealed his redemption, the final act in one of the greatest comeback stories baseball had ever seen. But baseball can be cruel. The Cardinals refused to go quietly. They tied the game again in the bottom of the 10th, then won in the 11th inning. Texas, just inches from its first championship, let it slip away. The next night, Game 7, St. Louis finished the job. The Rangers' dream was over. Still, Hamilton's home run remains one of the most iconic moments in Rangers history. It wasn't a storybook ending, but it was proof that Josh Hamilton had fought his way back to the biggest stage and delivered when it mattered most. Hamilton continued to play at a high level for a few more years, but injuries and relapses would eventually take their toll. After a tumultuous stint with the Los Angeles Angels, Hamilton found himself on the move again in 2015. The Angels, frustrated by his declining performance and another relapse into substance abuse, effectively cut ties with him.
Josh Hamilton played for the Anaheim Angels, is facing his addiction one more time. It seemed like he had things under control. Just recently he had a relapse, and it's...
Owner Adi Moreno made it clear that Hamilton would not play another game for the team, and a trade was orchestrated to send him back to the Texas Rangers. The Angels absorbed the majority of his remaining contract, signaling just how eager they were to move on.
But again, it's buyer beware when you're going to give that guy that big of a contract, because one sip away.
Hamilton returned to Texas, where he had experienced the best years of his career.
Today is about moving forward.
But injuries quickly derailed any hopes of a triumphant comeback. He played in just 50 games in 2015, posting a modest .253 batting average with 8 home runs. The following year, persistent knee problems kept him off the field entirely, and by early 2017 his career was effectively over. But what he accomplished remains nothing short of incredible. A player once written off as a lost cause fought back from addiction, reclaimed his career, and became an MVP. He didn't just make it back, he dominated. Now, what do you think? Is Josh Hamilton's comeback the greatest in MLB history, or is there another redemption story that stands out? Let me know in the comments. And if you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more stories like this one.